Okay, so first I'm going to start by giving an instruction to the chat. For that, the instructions or the questions that we ask to the chat, we call them prompt. It's the terminology that we use in this field. So I'm going to ask the chat for something very simple and very general. So I'm going to ask if it can write a project about promoting the social inclusion of children living in poor areas of Madrid. And let's see what we get. Okay, so let's read it. So we have a project titled Brighter Futures, Promoting Social Inclusion Among Children in Madrid and Deserved Communities. There is an introduction about Madrid. There are some objectives. There is some information about the target audience, but we haven't mentioned in our prompt the target audience. There are also some information about different project components, activities and programs like educational activities, recreational and cultural activities, community outreach and empowerment, awareness campaign and advocacy, the implementation strategy, so starting by the need assessment, the sustainability plan, evaluation and impact, and conclusion. So as you can see, the text created by the chat is very general. It's not customized our needs because we didn't tell ChatGPT what are our needs. So this text could basically be about any project. It's not, let's say, personalized to us. So let's try now with a more concrete and more detailed prompt. And in this prompt, I'm going to start a new chat. In this prompt, we are going to ask to write the same project, so a project about promoting social inclusion in poor areas of Madrid. But here we are going to specify the target group, and also we are going to ask about the type of activities that they must be attractive for children of that age, and also that they must be easy and cheap to implement because we only have 5 volunteers in our organization to implement this project. And they are only available on Saturday from 10 to 12. So let's see what we get now. So we still have the objectives, but very general. Now the activities, as you can see, they are more simple, easier to implement. Before we have like a need assessment, we have educational programs, we have also advocacy activities. Now the activities are more simple because the chat now knows that those activities that are going to be implemented by a group of volunteers. So we have the creative workshops, we have the sport games, some educational activities, but in this case, very simple activities. And there is also some activities related with, or a part related to the community outreach. Then regarding the implementation, as we instructed in our prompt, it will be on Saturdays from 10 to 12. There is some information about the evaluation and about the conclusion. So this time we use a more detailed prompt. So the answer is more detailed too. So in our prompt, we said that activities have to be easy, cheap, and they will be implemented by the group of volunteers, and all that is included in this description of the project that we got. However, this text is still very simple, especially if we were planning to apply for public funding, for example. This text that we got is not sufficient. We need something more elaborated. And here is where it comes the importance of providing context in the prompts, and also providing as many details as possible. The more details that we insert in our prompt, the more detailed the answer is going to be. So I'm going to use now another prompt that I have prepared before. It's about the same project, but with more details. So now we are going to give the chat a role. We are going to ask it to act like an expert with more than 20 years in the development of projects, social projects. We also are going to continue using the information about the target group, so the same target group. But in this case, to provide more context, we are going to specify a neighborhood in which part of Madrid, in particular, this project will be implemented. It will be in the neighborhood of Usera. We use the same as before regarding that the activities must be easy and cheap to implement. And something new that we insert in this prompt is that we are going to ask in which format or how we want the text to be organized. So we have the title, the executive summary, a description of the target group and their needs, objectives, and also activities, and I missed one line. One moment. So the activities, and we are going to ask that at least the activities, they must be linked to the project objectives, and they must be scheduled to be implemented within the 6 months of the time frame of the project. Also very important, each result should be linked to one activity to describe the impact in the short and in the long term on the target group, and also to produce a detailed breakdown of the project budget. So let's see what we get now. So here you can see that we got a better description than before about the target group, but not very long. We have the objectives, and then for each activity, we have the time frame of the activity and the duration. We have the specific objective linked to each activity and the result. We also have the description of the impact on the target group, and then we have the budget breakdown. So this is better than before, but still, at least in my opinion, it will need some further improvements to be able to use it, for example, in a project application to apply for public funding. So now that we have, let's say, a good starting point, one of the key ways of improving the answers that we receive from ChatGPT in this free version, but also in the premium version, is to start asking the chat to improve certain part of the content that we have received. So we can start, for example, by improving the description of the target group. As most of you probably know, if we are going to apply for any kind of public funding, it's very important to describe the target group, the needs of the target group, and also to use some data from reliable sources to somehow convince the evaluators about the need to implement that project. So we can also ask the chat to insert this kind of statistics data from reliable sources. So as you can see now, before we had a very brief description of the target group of 5 lines. Now we have 3 paragraphs, and we have data from the Spanish National Institute of Statistics. We also have data from Madrid Child Observatory. And if we wanted even to include more data, we could keep asking the chat to improve this section of the project. Something that you must be aware is that today, for example, for this demonstration, we are using the free version of ChatGPT 3.5, And this version is not connected to the internet. So in this version, the chat has been trained, this model, with information until January 2022. And every few months, they update that. But the model is not connected to the internet. If you use the premium version, the ChatGPT 4, or you use also, I will show you later, Copilot or Gemini, they have access to the internet. So even you can have access to more recent updated data. And that's why it's good if you're going to start using these tools to compare and even to complement, to use different tools for the same task. So now that we have a more detailed description of the target group and some data from reliable sources, we can ask the chat to improve the description of the objectives, because now we know better the needs of our target group. So can you better link the objectives of the project to the needs of the target group by making the objectives more specific and measurable? Okay, so now we have a more detailed description, and now there are some targets, some quantitative targets, not just qualitative as before in the description of the objectives of the project. And the same, we could continue asking to improve this section, but for now, we are going to keep it like that. And the next part of our project, the activities. So the activities also before, they were very brief, and that very likely is not going to be sufficient for a complete, a good quality project application. So now we are going to ask the chat for a more detailed description of, for example, the activity number 1. And we can specify the length of the activity. In this case, we are going to ask for 1,000 characters, because as you know, in most of the project application, there is a limit of characters for each section. You also have to be aware that different AI models, they work differently when you set a length, a target. So for example, ChatGPT works well with characters, but it doesn't work so well with words. If we say 500 words, very likely it's going to produce more than that. So you can try different models and you can see what works best, but for ChatGPT, I recommend characters. So here we have a description of the first activity, the Saturday social gatherings, and then we have a 1,000 characters, approximately, description of this activity. So this is some examples how we could start working step by step on our project application from a first basic text and to improve section by section. Although we don't need it at this stage because we are working on project writing, we could also ask the chat for example, for specific instructions about this activity that later on the volunteers who are going to implement this activity, they could actually follow. And that can be very helpful for the project implementation. So we could anticipate to that need at the same time that we are writing the project or later on, and we could ask the chat to produce step-by-step instructions for the volunteers who will implement this activity. So here we go. So we have the preparation, how to do the welcome and the introduction to the group of children, group games, sport activities. So as you can see in every prompt, normally the first answer tend to be very general. This could be any activity, it's not customized for us. And that's why I have been saying that it's very important that you do follow-up questions and you ask the chat after every question to customize it more to your needs. To see an example of this, I'm here, for example, I will say like I'm missing a kind of introductory game, ice-breaking activity to do with the children when they arrive. So we could ask the chat to produce that. We could ask that we could say that we would like to start with that kind of ice-breaking exercise, and we can ask to suggest one and to provide step-by-step instructions for it. So the volunteers, they know how to implement it. Okay, so here we have the step-by-step on how to implement the exercise name tag scavenger hunt. Okay, and if you don't like it, you can ask to provide two more, for example. And then you have two more. And you can also specify even what kind of exercises you would like. So let's continue. So you can see now that just in a few prompts, we have gone from a very basic description of the project to now even specific instructions step by step for the volunteers who are going to implement some of the project activities. So this is an example how you can write a project application using ChatGPT. We can also use ChatGPT to find funding opportunities for our project. So we could use a prompt like this one. So we can say that considering that this project will be implemented in Madrid, we can ask for 10 public and private institutions which normally offer funding for this type of project. So here we have 10 private, 10 public institutions. If we were using the premium version, the ChatGPT 4, or we were using Copilot or Gemini, we will also get here the links to the specific website. The model 3.5 is not connected to the internet, so we'll have to look ourselves on a web search engine. So here we have the list. Another example, how we could use ChatGPT to help us with the fundraising for our project can be this kind of prompt where we ask for a message, a post for social media to find private donors for this project. So we ask the chat to produce that message. So you can see we got a message that could be suitable for Facebook, for example, and you already have the emojis inserted and the same. If you need more customization, you can ask the chat to customize it. And let's say that also now that we are working on the part of social media with our project, we could also ask the chat to produce a message not to find donors, private donors, but also when we start the project to promote the first activity of the project. So here we have a post that we could publish on our social media to promote the first activity of the project, the Saturday social gatherings. This message can be suitable for Facebook, but it can be maybe too long for X, for the formerly Twitter. So we can also ask the chat to make it to shorten the message. And there we have a shorter shorter message. And let's say that our target audience, because of the neighborhood where we are going to implement the project, there is a percentage, let's say 30% of our target group, they are immigrants from a French-speaking country. So we can also ask the chat to translate the message. That way we could publish on our social media, we could publish the same message in different languages to address our target group. So also there can be another way that we could use ChatGPT for project implementation. Before we were saying that this project will be implemented by a group of about 5 volunteers. So we can tell the chat that considering that our organization is established in Madrid, we would like to know what are the legal requirements that we must fulfill to involve 5 volunteers in this project. So we got a list of legal requirements. In principle, these requirements, they are according to Spanish law, but it's very important that, especially when you ask for this kind of more critical information, that never trust the answer of either GPT, Copilot, or any other AI model. Never trust their answers 100%. You always should double check. But as a first guidance, they tend to be very helpful. So here we have several requirements that our organization should follow to implement this project with a group of volunteers. And we could also ask the chat for help to prepare these documents. For example, we could ask the chat for help to draft the volunteer agreement for this project. So before using ChatGPT in these circumstances, we will have to go to, let's say, Google and look for several templates of volunteer agreement and then choose one or produce ourselves one using combining several of them. Now we can get that template in a matter of seconds. And also the customization will be easier because now, as I said before, with the follow-up prompts, we can ask the chat to customize. If you were using the premium version, you also have the possibility of uploading a template that you already have, and the chat will produce a new one based on your template, and then you can improve it. So there are many possibilities, but this is a basic example. So I have been talking until now about ChatGPT and have mentioned about Copilot and Gemini. I just want to show you also a very small demonstration of what is the difference. But in the future, if you start using this on a regular basis, I recommend you that you compare GPT, the free, the premium version, Copilot. Copilot also offers the premium version, the same for Gemini. So you can find which suit your need best, because each model is better on some specific things. There are some models that they are better for writing. I personally prefer GPT-4, but for example, if you're going to use it to produce content for graphic content, images, or even for coding, there can be other models that they can be more suitable for you. So let's make a short demonstration with Copilot. This is the model from Microsoft. Copilot use GPT-4, but not always. So Copilot uses a combination of different LLM, large language models. So it's a way of accessing for free some of the functionalities of GPT-4, but not all of them as you will access in the premium version of GPT-4. So I'm going to use one of my first prompts, the one that was more completed with Copilot. And let's see what kind of answer we get. So as you can see, this one is a bit slower, and probably it's because right now it's using GPT-4. GPT-4 is more precise, it has more reasoning capacity, but it's less fast, it's slower than GPT 3.5. And by the way that it's creating the text, it seems similar to GPT-4. So as you can see, there is not a big difference in the quality of the answer from the GPT 3.5 to Copilot. But the main advantage of Copilot is what I was explaining to you before, is that Copilot has access to the internet. So now we can ask for 10 private and 10 public institutions who normally offer funding for this type of projects. And let's see if we get the links to their website. So here you can see that now, maybe not all of them are very interesting results for us, but most of them, the link should work. So this is the link. So this one, for example, is not suitable because it's more about information on how to implement this project, but not funding opportunities. Let's see the one of Comunidad de Madrid. This one, it makes more sense because it talks about the funding for social projects. Also, let's see the primary social care website. Okay, so those will work. And then we have private institutions from Iberdrola. That's right. We also have Fundación La Caixa, but in this one, let's see if the link works well. So we go to a searching bin, but it's not the link to the website. So when you get this, the same as the chat, you can also ask for improve the links. And normally you will get better results. So that's something that works in all AI models. When you don't get exactly what you want, you can push it a bit more, follow up questions, and try to get better answers. Let's do the same demonstration test with Gemini. Gemini is the AI model from Google. They also have the free version and also the premium version. And we can use the same prompt to see the differences. So you can see it's different, but very similar to what we got with both, with Copilot and GPT 3.5. And that is also why it's very important that I never recommend that you just produce a project like this on any kind of AI model and then you copy paste it and you submit it or you present it to someone. This is a tool that is helpful, or these are tools that are helpful to guide you, to support you, assist you during the project preparation. But you must insert your income, you must have the input, you must have the knowledge before to customize this, because otherwise, as you can see, the answers that you receive from all of them, they are very similar. So, and you don't want that other people think that you haven't produced your project on your own. So that's why you must always work on customizing this and adapting this to your context and to your needs. Let's, as we did with Copilot, let's also ask Gemini for the funding opportunities to see if we get better results with this model. So this one seems better. Let's try Madrid City Council. Okay, we have the website on social services, but it's not a direct link to the part of funding opportunities. It's the same, the social services. We have the European Social Fund in Spain, but it's also information about it, not a link to the specific funding opportunities. This one is also the link to the homepage. So the same, we got the name of the institutions, the link to them, but we don't have, in most cases, we don't have the specific link to the place where they have the where they announce, they publish the funding opportunities. It will be also interesting to compare this with the premium version, and that's why I was suggesting that to you before, that if at some point you start using these tools, it will be worth it for you to try the two, the free, the premium, and then to compare and to see if it's worth it for you or not to pay for it. So this that I have done with GPT, Copilot, Gemini, there are other AI models like a Claude, or there are a few of them, but these are the three more popular at this moment. So this is a small demonstration of different AI models that you could use for project preparation, project writing, and also to assist you during the implementation of your project. If after this, if you are interested in learning more about other tools, other AI tools that could be helpful for you and for your organization, if you work in the third sector, voluntary social projects, I recommend you to visit this website, this platform, which this platform is the final outcome of the digitalization and resilience project funded by the EU. So in this platform, I'm going to you select your language. So we're going to use the English version. And on this platform, you can find a collection of different e-learning modules on groups of different tools, applications that can be helpful, useful for your organizations, like tools for a digital workspace, how to create a website, tools for project management. The criteria that we have followed when choosing these tools is basically that they are free for non-profit organizations, and also that they are easy to use, and also we think that are helpful for the work of non-profit organizations. Also, something interesting that happened in this project we started 2 years ago. And the intention of this project was to answer to the needs of many small non-profit organizations across the EU during and after the COVID pandemic. There were many organizations that they were forced to initiate or to accelerate their digitalization process. And we found out that there was not a collection of tools like this available on the internet with free tools customized or adapted to non-profit organizations. And that's why we started working on this platform. But that was 2 years ago. As you know, during the last year and a half, we have lived the AI revolution, and everything has changed. And in less than 18 months, AI has moved from being a few language models like a ChatGPT. So now, until now, the AI is basically omnipresent everywhere. And that has also affected to this project. Now, if you go after this webinar, you are curious, you can go to the, for example, the tools for a digital workspace. There you can learn about how to use Google Workspace or Microsoft 365. In Microsoft 365, nowadays you have Copilot integrated in all the tools in Excel, Word, PowerPoint, all that. And if you go to the module on project management software, and there you can learn about ClickUp. In ClickUp also you have a very powerful AI tool integrated there, which can help you with the management of the project in your organization. The same for graphic design. In the e-learning module on graphic design, you can learn on how to use Canvas, and Canvas has a very powerful tool about AI tool that you can use for both for creating and for editing pictures, images, and graphic designs. So now AI is everywhere. And this is the reason why also we have chosen this webinar. We have tried to focus more on the prompting, on the communication, because we are not just talking about AI just limited to the AI model of ChatGPT, Gemini, or Copilot. Now, AI is everywhere, and a transversal skill that everyone should have, and in particular, all of you working in the non-profit sector, is to improve your skills on how to communicate with AI to get the most of it. And that's why in this webinar, we have focused on the importance of the prompting and how detailed prompting they can be you can get better output from the AI. So if you want to learn more about this, I recommend that you visit this platform. In a few days, we are going to publish on this model, on the model on artificial intelligence. We are going to publish all the prompts that I have used today. And also by the end of this month, by the end of March, in the module of AI, we are going to also publish a more detailed guide about prompting engineering. Because OpenAI recently also published a very, very good quality prompting guide, and we are going to insert it there. So if you want to improve your skills on that, that can be a good starting point for that. And also in this platform, if you are curious, you can learn more later about who have been the project partners or the organizations that have worked in this project.